48 states, you delivered their furniture that they made. It was new furniture. You had to put off stops. I would have anywhere from 1 stop to 40 stops a week. And that was before GPS and cell phones. And I can remember back then, I went to Hamry Furniture in Lenore, and they said, you know, I was out of school, so they said, if you could pass a road test with the maintenance man, we'll give you a truck to take to the DMV. Then they didn't have CDL, they had a chauffeur's license. So I got my chauffeur's license, and he put me, I had my dad drove, and I had 4 uncles that drove for the same company. So he put me with my uncle, and I rode with him for 6 weeks. And then I got my first truck. It was a 1979 Transtar Cabo with a single axle, spring ride, no power steering. The first trip I went on, I'll never forget it. I had 2 stops. I thought, well, 2 stops, that's great. First stop was MGM in Totowa, New Jersey. Second stop, I'll never forget it, was Stern Brothers Furniture, Ditmars Boulevard in Queens, New York. And I'll be honest with you, I was so sick at 23 years old having to go to New York because I'd heard all the horror stories. I could have threw up. I was that sick. I'll never forget getting up to Totowa, and they've got a building there, and you have to back in the dock about 30 feet before you get to the dock in the building. And as you learn, when you go out there, when you're backing into a building with no lights like that, you can't see a whole lot. And try to back a truck when you're first starting with no power steering. You get too much one way and you got to correct it, and before you know it, your arms feel like they're going to fall off. And I finally got that one in there, and then I headed across GW Bridge. Oh my goodness. Spring ride truck, you'd hit those potholes, you would bounce up your head off the ceiling. I mean, you got cars everywhere. It was just an experience, you know, you just had to be there the first time. And I got out of there safely, and everything was fine, and everything. I thought, well, hey, I made it, you know. A little hard work, a little dedication. I kept my mind set, and I did it. As an experienced driver, I would tell you, always give you plenty of space. That's a very main thing. I might have did a lot of things wrong, but one thing I always did, I give that space because I knew that was my out. Always give the space. Always take time. Don't never get in a hurry. If you get in a hurry, it's when you have these little dings. You hit a pole, you hit a fence. Take your time. If your gut's telling you not to do something, there's a good chance you shouldn't do that because it'll bite you. Okay? I'm from a little old town in Wilkes County called State Road, a little community up towards Stone Mountain. I'd never been out of my little community until I started driving a truck. I was thankful that I had a dad, you know, that drove, and he drove for the same company. And he would always set down my stops and how I'd get there. Don't ever be afraid to go up to a driver that's got experience and ask him something. You know, my dad, he passed away a couple years ago with a brain tumor. But I drove 20 years accident-free at that time. And every time I'd go in, he'd say, son, he said, you get to the point you think you know it all and nobody can remind you to be safe or anything like that, you better check up because you're fixing to mess up. So I don't care how long you're in this business, you learn every day of your life. I'm passionate about trucking because it's been good to me. I started, like I said, in '87. I drove over the road for 15 years, and I had a couple local jobs. Then the whole time I drove, I was in the furniture business. I was delivering furniture because that's all I knew. That's all I'd ever done. And then about 10 years ago, I went to Best Logistics Group in Kernersville. Started out regional driver, Monday through Friday, home on the weekends. We run 3 or 4 regional states. We run like Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. And I was getting 2,800 miles just in those states, and I was 6 hours from home. So I loved it. Family-oriented company. One guy owns the company and got 2 sons that work there. And I told my wife after 3 or 4 weeks, I said, they'll have to run me off. I loved it compared to what I was doing, putting off, 40 stops a week all over the country. And I did that for 5 years, and they got to thinking, well, we need a driver in the safety department, maybe a driver trainer. And they give me that opportunity to be a driver trainer. And it's such a rewarding opportunity to give back. You can imagine the hundreds of thousands of people I've met, all the situations I've been in. I might be in the furniture business delivering furniture. I might be at a candle shop in downtown Chicago one day, at a barn behind somebody's house in Minnesota the next day. And I had so much, information to give people, and I appreciate what you go through because I've been there and I've done it. And but we will take a driver out of school just like you graduated now. He comes to us, he'll do an interview, and we'll interview them, and if we decide they're a good fit, we'll bring them in for a road test. And I'll do a road test with them. I put them with an experienced driver for 6 weeks. After that 6 weeks, I'm talking to that trainer, and if he thinks you need a little more time, we'll give you a little more time. But then we have to make a decision or they'll get fit for us or not. But you have that opportunity, and we hire local drivers, we hire over-the-road drivers, regional drivers. We're in a lot of different things. You can deliver furniture for us for 48 states and Canada. You can drive a flatbed and do heavy haul. And we got low boys, landauls, everything like that. We haul carpet out of Dalton, Georgia. We've got a company there based out of Dalton that we distribute carpet, pick up carpet. So there's a lot of things you could go to, a lot of potential for you. And then about a month ago, I was promoted to safety manager. And it's a new challenge for me. Each step was a new challenge for me, But I'm so thankful I did it because I started, mom and dad had 3 kids. They both worked in a textile mill. Didn't make a whole lot of money, but they provided for us. They were good to us. And I followed right in that step. When I was out of school, I had a wife and a kid at 18 years old. I was driving a forklift on the dock, $5 an hour. Dad wouldn't ever tell me, you ought to come drive. I think he was fearful, if something happened, he would regret telling me that. But I know deep down he was hoping I would do something like that. So I seen the advertisement for a school, and I went to that school. And it was just a huge difference when you're used to making $5 an hour, and I got my first job, and I went from $12,000 a year to $30,000 a year. And it was just a huge step for me. And but I told you all that story to tell you you can grow, and you will grow, and you'll grow in knowledge. But don't keep that knowledge bottled up inside. Don't be afraid to share it with people. He was talking a while ago, one person can make a difference. You know why? I'm going to share my knowledge with my grandkids, my kids. You know, how you come up on an intersection and you check that intersection before you go through it. Because somebody may come through, hit you in the door. Well, yeah, you had the right of way, but you're not here no longer to talk about it. So make sure you check the intersections. All the little things, make sure you do it, okay? You're going to deal a lot with DOT and police officers. Always be as respectful and nice as you can be. You know, I told you I never had no tickets. It's not because I didn't deserve them. I've been pulled over several times, but I'm always yes sir, no sir. And you know, that'll take you a long ways in life, whoever you meet, okay? Our president of the company is Roy Cox. Every time we hire a new driver, he always speaks to the new drivers. And he tells them, he says, as a company, we can buy trucks all day long, but if we don't have you drivers to drive them, we're not going nowhere. I'm not getting paid. We need you. We need drivers out there today. One of the most beneficial things I've done as a road team captain, we go speak to high schools, to teenagers. See, they don't really get no education, what it's like to be around trucks or whatever. And I went into this school in Raleigh. It had 2,300 students. They had about 60 students in the driver's ed. And as the road team captain I went with to see how he conducted it and what he done, I just looked into the eyes of those students as they were listening. They'd never heard anything about trucks or anything like that before. And as I watched them, I thought about my grandkids and what this road team captain was telling them, how to be safe around trucks. So what we did was we had a truck sitting there. We took one of the teacher's cars, pulled it right behind the truck. We set cars beside of the truck in what we call the nose arms, where you can't see. Then we had each kid, one by one, 60 kids, helped them up in the truck. They sat there in the truck, checked their mirrors, and we asked them. They was just at awe at the size of the vehicle up close. And to get in it, you could tell they were really excited. And we'd say, can you see those cars? No, sir, we can't see them. That's right, don't hang around those trucks there. Don't hang around those spots. The driver can't see you either. We taught them to stay back 4 to 6 seconds from a truck in case it picked up something off the road, blowed a tire. You know, a truck tire is a lot bigger than a car tire. It can do a lot of damage. When you pass a truck, pass it on the left. When you come back in front of the truck, at least 4 to 6 seconds ahead of the truck before you come back over. Those kids will never forget that, because they had that, like drivers, we want hands-on training. It teaches us so much more, like your trainers taught you. So they'll never forget that. And my hope is they'll turn it on to their kids and their kids and their kids. So if I could leave you with one last thing, all you learned here and all you're going to learn in the future, pass it on to your kids, their kids, even your grandfather, if they don't know. Let them know. Each one of us do that with our families, then we'll know we made a difference. Okay? And that would be such a huge difference, because, you know, as I look at I got 4 grandsons. I want to see them get old, you know. Hey, and every kid you see, think of that as your kid. Every person you see on the highway, share the road with them. You know, as much problems, I guess, as we have in the United States sometimes, that's one we can agree on, to be safe on the highways. You know, I read somewhere, I think it was 2008, there were 36,200 some deaths on the United States highways in 1 year. Half a football stadium. We can make a difference. And if you're looking for a good company to go to, try Best Logistics in Kernersville. It's a great company. Just a family atmosphere, and I've been there, be 9 years January the 6th. And I wouldn't tell you if it wasn't, and they've been super good to me, super good, and they would be to you too. And there's a lot of great companies out there that could use you. We need a lot of drivers, and I appreciate you making that effort, and you will be awarded 10 times fold, because you'll meet a lot of good people, you'll make good money. It's a great industry to be in. I appreciate your time.